Hi, welcome to the Autism Chronicles. I've decided to do a series of videos to explain what it's like to have a parent on the autism spectrum. My father has autism, and there are a lot of interesting stories about what it's been like to be his daughter. And one of the things that I want to talk about today has to do with his memory. And as we know, a lot of people on the autism spectrum have really amazing memory for certain things, such as for facts and figures of their special interests, or things that happened in the distant past. But they sometimes have more trouble with day-to-day things. So when my father was a younger man, he gave a blindfold chess exhibition. And chess is his main special interest, and he collected chess books in all different languages. He ran chess clubs. He wrote newspaper articles for the Boston Herald and the local paper where we grew up in Massachusetts. And when he gave his blindfold chess exhibition, he played 22 different players. And they could all see the board, but he couldn't see the board of any of the players that he was playing against. And he had to remember each and every one of them in his mind. And a person called a teller would go and tell him what the move was that the other players did. And then he would say to the teller what his move was in return. And the teller would go and tell the opponent, and the opponent would make the move on the chessboard. So the opponent was able to keep track of the game on the board itself. But my father wasn't able to see any of the boards, and he had to remember them all in his mind's eye. And I've talked to him about it since, and he's talked about how he could visualize these different areas of the board. He might not be able to see every move of every game, but when he just shifted his attention, he would be able to see the board as it stood with that move, and then he could make his move, and he could retain that memory of what the board looked like. And this led him to be able to win 20 of the games and only had no losses and 2 draws. This compares to some world records that have been set with doing blindfold chess exhibitions, and an author who's written a book about blindfold chess exhibitions told me that as of the 1920s, that would have set the world record, but there have been ones that have been done that have more players than that. In fact, my father told me that he had planned to play 30 players, but because the date that they chose conflicted with a big football game, that some of the players ended up not coming, and so he played 22 instead of 30, but he thought he could have done 30. And so when you just imagine what that's involved, it really demonstrates some of those strengths of autistic thinking, where that ability to visually see things and to be able to remember things that you're really interested in. But then things that he's not really interested in, he doesn't have a good memory for. And that was one of the things that was really confusing to me as a child growing up, is I would see him be able to do things like that, but on the other hand, all of my life he's never been able to remember when my birthday is. So if you asked him today, and he's 88 years old, he still wouldn't be sure when my birthday is. And if he was asked to pick up something on the way home from work, such as a gallon of milk or a loaf of bread, he probably wouldn't remember to do that. And I think my mother knew that she really couldn't count on him to do things like that, even though he could remember the moves of hundreds of chess games in his mind and win 22 boards of a blindfold chess exhibition. So that's it for today's Autism Chronicle, and I hope you'll tune back in for other stories about what it's like to have a parent on the autism spectrum.